Hello everyone, today we are going to explain how to create a CRUD system for multi-language post, create, retrieve, update, and delete data. In other words, let's localize our database. Our database structure will contain for each model such as category, two tables. The first one is reference table for the ref ID and shared data between the different language versions of the post, such as images and price. The second table will contain the post data for each language, and it will have the language ID column and the reference ID as well. So, what we are going to do. So, first we are going to create categories table and then migration and form request. Then we are going to create the controller and API resources for a good JSON response. And finally, the routes. So let's get it. So this is our project that we have been working on all the sessions of this course. Nothing new. We have made a video about changing the app language according to the URL via set app lang middleware. So as you can see, this is the middleware here. Yes, and the language ID will be inside the middleware in the second segment. Nothing new. So let's start PHP artisan make model, category, and migration. And let's create another one for the reference table and name it category ref. Here. So here is the migration, and this is the categories table. Here is this first column ID, language ID, then name and slog, alt image, alt cover, short description, keywords, robot type, description, parent ID, and reference ID, and this is very important. This will be for the category reference. Then sort, feature, and view, and user ID, the user who created this category. So let's create our relations here inside the category model. So the first one, let's guard our ID so we can mass assign all the columns when we update and create. So the first function, ref. Ref is one-to-many relation between the category reference and category. As you can see, this belongs to ref ID and category here, the class, category ref class. This is the first one. And of course, here return. Okay, the second one for parent, if this category has a parent, and the parent here will be for the ref ID too. And then children, if this category has children. So let's say here, this has many, category ref, and of course the ref parent ID too as well. And inside the ref, the category ref here, the ref has children, and these children are the translation of the post. So let's get the user who created or updated this category. And so return this belongs to user class and the user ID. So here it is. Then we are going to use Eloquent Sluggable, this package for creating the slug for us. As you can see. Here we will follow this step for installation. The slug, we will use it instead of adding an ID in the URL, we can add a string, such as category name. We can use name-category. So let's add these classes in our category model. Okay. So let's put them here for now, and we will come back to them later. We just make our resource name. Okay, we'll explain it all later. Just need to make all the full steps of the installation. So let's make our controllers here. The first one would be in admin category, would be in admin folder, category controller. Yeah, we'll need to delete it and create it once again. Because we need to add all the resource functions such as index, store, show, update. So as you can see, I have created some form requests, one for delete and index, store, and update. So we can use them for validation. So the first one is store. So here, let's create our authorization check to check if the user has permission to create a category. So in authorize, let's create if this user can. Okay, and let's check our permissions here. So category create, and if yes, return true. No, return false. So this is, we have created it before in the rule and permissions video. So we through this message for multi-language. Here failed authorization function. So let's create our validation rules. Here. Okay. Here is the name. The name should be unique for the category table with maximum 255, and slug will make it bigger. Since language ID is required, such as AR, EN, AR for Arabic, EN for English. And here alt image cover, and here is the image validation rule, sometimes image, and the types of the image such as JPG, PNG, WebP, and maximum 2 mega. And we will create, we'll add an icon image, and then all this for CEO, short description, keywords, report, and description. We have feature here to feature your category in your app, and then the status will be active, deactivate, pending. Then here we have the parent ID and the reference. They should be existed in category ref ID, category ref table. And sort. And we should make sure that the column names the same name was here when we use it in the validation rule. I have a repeated featured. Of course, we don't need here characters, maximum characters, because they are integers. So that's all for now. This is our validation rules, as you can see. Okay, let's create our store controller function here. Of course, I called the treat class authorized check that we have created before in another video, and I will put all the links in the description, and image processing. And of course, I called the category store request, and the category model and category reference. And I guarded the ID. So here we should use them like that. The first here, the store function. I get the validation data, the validated data. Then the data for the reference here, like the image path, and the user ID from the request. And I create the category by the data array, and then return success and the JSON respond. So let's create the image to store image. First, let's check if the request file has image. So request has file image. We'll say a new array data x equal this, and we will see the function here in the treat save image and sampling, and it take file and sample and it will be true and false. True for creating thumbnails, false for not creating thumbnails, and it returns an array with all the images. So let's give it the image file here. So we'll make it true for making the thumbnail as well. So let's add the image passes to the data ref array. We need need to make sure that columns names are right. Here, image will be data.x image, and then thumbnail. And thumbnail XL. So we'll copy it and paste it here, and we'll do the same thing for cover. Just here, it's column names. This one for the icon, but we have no thumbnail for the icon, so we'll make it false. Here image, the icon. So that's it. Now let's check if we have a reference ID coming with our request. Okay, because if we are creating a new language version of the post, we will need to send a reference ID. But if it's the first time, we need to create first the reference. As you can see here, let's create our reference. It takes from the array data, and here is the ref ID. Okay, so data ref ID equal this reference ID. So this is our route here. We use a resource route in this group of routes for the admin. As you can see here, we made a prefix for local and admin. So let's give it a try. Here, yep, it works. We're still making the slug here manually. Here, and this is the reference that hold all the shared data between the translation versions. So let's create another one. Cover, icon, file. Let's select image. Now this is executive. And here is the images in the reference. Let's create an Arabic. So we need here to create, to send the reference ID. So we know that this is the Arabic version of the English version of the same post. Oh, here is the reference ID. Let's check our database. Yep, here is our English, and they take the same reference ID. Okay, let's make our slug to work automatically. So here I comment the rule here for slug because we don't need it. It will be created automatically by our package. Here it should add array here and the source from the name and use sluggable in category model. So now it will be created automatically when we add a category. And then we need to create a resource. The artisan make resource category resource. This resource will help us send the right listen respond. We here use Eloquent API resource. Okay, this API resource will have all the data of the category as well as the data from the reference, such as images and cover, icon, everything. So this is here our resource. So we'll return ID, this ID, language ID, reference ID, and slug and name. Okay, and alt image, alt cover. Okay. Short description, keywords. Okay, you select the most important columns here. But actually, I have selected everything. And user ID, update and created at. So image, here is one of the most important thing, image. Let's get the images here from the category reference. We have a one-to-many relation. So let's say this ref and question mark, image, and another question mark. So if you have an image here, okay, please, Mr. Storage, send us this image URL. Okay, here is all the data we need to send from our API resource. Here, as you can see, this is the icon, the last thing, and then this is a translation. Here we say category where reference ID equal this reference ID, and we don't need this the current model, so we avoid it by using where ID not equal this ID, and we get only the ID and language ID. And then your resource, here we get the collection after creating the category. We call the resource here. So let's give it a try here. Here's some images. And then the name has already been taken. Okay, actually, the slug is created automatically by our package, and here is the ID. And let's test the images here. Laravel icon. let's create a translation. Actually, only send images with the main language of your website. If you create a translation, just don't send the images. So here is, just make sure, and this is a translation here with the ID and the language ID. It's English, and in the translation array, the Arabic one. So this is the creation data. Here, this is our form request. Actually, here we use the authorized check treat instead of these two functions here. So make our code less, and it's easier for us to maintain and to change the error message. So here and here, so just made it. Okay, and let's remove, and I will use it in all as form requests. That's it. And I added here the language ID, so we can, when we create a new translation version, you need the categories to be in the same language you are using, as you can see here. So that's how we return our resource. This is the message, admin only. This is a token of an admin. Now we have here all the categories. So it needs language ID, we put it here as a query parameter. So inside the index, we should do the same thing. Here, let's use our treat, authentication check, and it will return true if there is no error. So it takes language ID and the status for filtration. So here is the status, active, inactive, pending. And it sometimes, so we put it here for our validation rule. And let's create our query. Category, query. So let's say query equal query where language ID equal request language ID. And let's check if we have a status. So request, if it's not empty, request, status, okay, we need to add our authorized check treat here in our index form request, and make sure that the status here. So let's try it. and postman. Okay, this is the status. So, okay. So here is in edit, we check the authorization because we don't have here a request form on form request. Then get all the categories with the same category, this category ID. Here and then bottom in, and then we put him in resource, API resource, and then get the category. Okay, let's check it. Okay. Here is the category and all the categories. So let's create our update form. It will be similar to creation form request. So let's add our permissions checker. Category edit. Let's copy it and put it here. Okay, we need to get the category ID. So we add it with the rule for anything that's unique, like the name. So here in our name rule for unique categories name, and then add the category ID. Everything is the same. Nothing unique here. Okay, we need to remove the slug. Okay, there was a mistake here. Okay, we are here in the same update request. We just need to put a comma after name. Okay, so we got the request here. Let's add it. Category update request, language, and the category. Okay. Let's get all the codes from the store function and add it in update function, and let's modify it. So here is the reference. So here, a category ID. Okay, we get the reference, so we can add all the updated data to it. Of course, we are not going to change the reference ID in the category, for the category. We just update the images, okay? So here, update. We need to put it up here. Okay, we need to move this and put here the reference ID. Here. Okay. Okay. So we update the category reference and category, the category, and then refresh the data and return it. So this is the images. Let's fix that or modify it. Here we have the function called delete image. So where we are going to use it in our treat like that. So if we have an image file, let's delete all the old images from the reference and delete the cover if we have a cover file. Okay. And if we have an icon, let's delete the old icon and save the new one. Then let's add them in data ref array here. And of course, we get first the category reference. And here the images. And then update the data and the category and everything. So let's give it a try. Quick test here. Cute dog. Let's change it to giraffe. Yep. Fine. Okay, so delete. In our image processing treat, in delete image, I checked if the file path is if empty or not. Because in the database it could be null. Sometimes we don't have to upload an image for the category, so we need to save us from any error. So here is the delete request, all. So here we have a flag called all. We created a flag in the request, it's all, okay? If we have all in the request, that means delete the category and reference and other translations. Everything, but if we don't have all in our request, we will delete only this version of the category translation, while keeping the reference and the other translation. Okay, here is our destroy function. We check if request has all. So we'll get the reference and then delete all the images. And then delete the reference and get all the translation versions and delete them. Else, if we don't have all reference, just delete this category. So that's everything for now. Please like and subscribe if you find this video is useful for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.